There's no time for intros right now. The FPL community is struggling, which is why I built you guys a Game Week 3 free hit team if you want to see a green arrow. Let's get straight into it. Okay, so below me I've got the fixtures just so we can really visualize the teams that we want to target. And one of the teams that we want to target for this free hit is West Ham. What can we say about West Ham? Because the first two weekends of the Premier League, they have been a shambles. A 5-1 loss to Chelsea, a 3-0 loss to Sunderland on the opening weekend. And listen, you have to have some sort of Nottingham Forest defensive coverage in there. And I've gone with Matt Sells. There's a lot going on at Forest with the owner situation, with Nuno. But listen, you still trust that Nottingham Forest defence enough to keep a clean sheet, especially against West Ham or shambles. And you can see from my three defenders that I picked, high ceiling defenders. First of all, Cucurella. I keep saying it. Forget watching football through SofaScore. Forget watching football through when you type in on Google who's playing where. The positions Cucurella picks up on a football pitch from an FPL point of view are an absolute joke. He's inverting into midfield with Caicedo. Sometimes he's the final line of attack, which only means one thing, and that's going to be FPL points. So you have to have Cucurella in there, and he's a lock in a free hit. The next one, and in your normal teams as well, should be. And the next one I've gone with is Patrick Dorgu. This is the one where I think people can probably switch out just because you might not trust Manchester United enough, but we've seen it in pre-season. We've seen the opening day fixture, especially against Arsenal. The position of Patrick Dorgu does pick up on a football pitch are extremely high. His end product is not the best, but it has been slightly improving so far from what we've seen. And listen, it's Burnley. It's a home fixture. It's a fixture that we want to target. So I've gone with Dorgu. The next one is Pedro Porro. Thomas Frank, what have you done with that Tottenham defence? Because he's a phenomenal manager. He's shown great adaptability. Is that the word? If it's not, listen, you know what I mean. Pedro Porro has to be in. He's still on set pieces. Bournemouth, he's not the best of a fixture from a defensive point of view, but he will have Semenyo down that side if Semenyo plays on the left, which he did against Wolves. And hopefully Pedro Porro can rank up those defensive contribution points as well, because he does rank very, very highly on that, especially for a fullback. But let's see. That is my defence. I've gone with Tarkowski on the bench. Listen, on a free hit, just have one or two players that are going to play for definite on the free hit on the bench, just in case players don't play, like we saw with Cole Palmer this weekend. But listen, that is my defence. Let's get into the midfield. I know a lot of people are going to be thinking, Baines, what are you doing? But listen, hear me out. Non-free hit, on a free hit, realistically, you want players that non-free hitters are not going to have. And I think 3 of the 4 midfielders that I picked in this case, non-free hitters are just not going to have. But let's start with the one that people are going to have more than likely, and that is Bruno Fernandes. I know he missed a penalty against Fulham, but he's still Manchester United's penalty taker. He's a brilliant fixture against Burnley. He racks up those DEFCON points as well. We saw it against Fulham as well. And listen, Bruno Fernandes is a 90-minute man. He's always going to play. I think he's a safe pick, just targeting the fixture against Burnley. The next one is probably the more exciting pick for Manchester United if you are going to pick someone. I think if anyone's watched Manchester United this season, you would realise Matthijs Cunha is probably the real talisman of that side, the real talisman of that attack. He was unlucky not to get a goal against Fulham, and overall, when you watch Matthijs Cunha, we saw it even for Wolves last year. He will have those shots from outside the box. He will create, he will score goals. He ranks very highly just generally for the bonus point system. So I think this is a player that I really want to have for a free hit if I was free hitting. So Matthijs Cunha would be in. The next two, Gordon and Elanga. I know there's going to be potentially a bit of controversy doubling up on that Newcastle midfield, but listen, Leeds is a brilliant fixture to target. As I said, free hit, you want to target certain sides. Leeds just conceded 5 to Arsenal. Over 2.88 XG conceded, I think it was. And listen, there's a lot of pressure on Daniel Farke. There's a lot of pressure on Leeds. Why would you not target that fixture? I know Newcastle probably look better with a striker up top with an Alexander Isak, but that's besides the situation. Gordon might be on penalties, and we know Gordon is always a threat when he's on the football pitch. Elanga is another one where he can pick up a goal, he can pick up an assist. Why would you not just double up on that Newcastle midfield against a poor Leeds team? I would have to have both of them in there. So I've gone with Gordon, Elanga, Cunha, and Bruno Fernandes as my midfield. Let's get onto my attack. Okay, so let's get into the attack. The first name being João Pedro. Off a 15-pointer against West Ham. And listen, the role that he played against West Ham really, really suited his capabilities in my eyes. Playing off Liam Delap, we know João Pedro, he can score goals, he can get assists. In the pockets, he's very good just because he's such a technically sound player. And listen, Fulham might not be the best fixture on paper. We know Fulham defensively have a decent defensive record in terms of expected goals conceded. But you do want some sort of Chelsea coverage in the free hit in my eyes. Chelsea, one of the better sides in the league. And I think João Pedro if Enzo Maresca does set up in a similar sort of way that we saw against West Ham, he has to be in. And he's potentially on penalties if Cole Palmer is out. But that's something we have to keep an eye on. The next one is Chris Wood. As I said, fixtures to target is West Ham. Chris Wood, he is Nottingham Forest's main number 9. Even though they have signed Iga Jesus, Chris Wood is still playing 90 minutes pretty much. He has to be in. And if Nottingham Forest score, more than likely he's going to be Chris Wood. So that's why he has to be in. And as a non-free hitter this week, I am very scared not owning Chris Wood. And then the next man, the main man, the big man up top, Erling Haaland. I don't think pretty much I have to say anything. We know what Erling Haaland can do. We know, listen, on any weekend in the Premier League, he can score a hat-trick. He has the highest ceiling going into this weekend for any player. He has to be a lock, and he has to be captain in my eyes for a free hit. I think if you're looking at this free hit overall, it's very, very strong. High ceiling in terms of potential FPL points. Potential changes that people might want to make. Maybe people might want to go with a Nottingham Forest midfielder instead of doubling up on United, doubling up on a Newcastle. Gibbs White could be a shout. Still playing pretty much. I think on the weekend he got 88 minutes again. Got an assist on the opening weekend of the Premier League. I think he could be a great midfielder to have on a free hit. But overall, I'm very, very happy with how this free hit looks. As a non-free hitter, I'm very, very scared going into this weekend. But let's see what happens. But before we end the video, make sure you guys like the video. Comment your thoughts on this free hit. Comment your thoughts on any changes you will make. And make sure you subscribe to the channel. And I'll be back soon.